We made a slideshow and we're trying to show the slideshow to as many people as we can. In August of 2013, my wife Larisa and I, we led a team of 7 people from Center Street Church going on a mission trip to Moldova. The purpose of us going to Moldova is to help the children there. There's countries in Eastern Europe such as Poland, the Czech Republic, Croatia. They've made the transition from communism to democracy relatively easily. There's other countries like Ukraine, Moldova, Albania. Their transition from communism to democracy has not gone very well. And as a result, there's rampant corruption in those countries, and the government siphons off money from the economy. Therefore, the economy can't get going. It's very stagnant because all the money is being funneled into a wealthy group of people. Therefore, there's a lot of unemployment, alcoholism, and family violence. When that happens, the people who suffer the most are the children. So our purpose of going to these countries were to help the children there. In Moldova, we went to the capital city, Chisinau. While we were there, we went to a rehab center. The purpose of this rehab center is to help girls in the country. One of the problems in this area is human trafficking. As an example, a typical family in Moldova consists of, let's say, a mom, 2 kids, and a husband. Divorce occurs, the husband leaves, the mom is now left with 2 children. And the work prospects in Moldova are not very good. So perhaps the mother travels to Romania to work as a waitress, and she sends money back home to Moldova. Someone has to be looking after these children. It might be her mother, it might be her friend, her cousin, her next door neighbor. Either way, that parental influence is no longer there, and the kids are vulnerable. They're vulnerable to prostitution, they're vulnerable to alcoholism, violence. So all the girls that you see in this picture who are holding a green bag, these are girls from the rehab center. These green bags were donated by a family from Calgary, and they're filled with lots of Canadian items such as toothpaste, toothbrushes, feminine hygiene items, things that are not of high quality in Moldova or they're simply not able to get. So we really appreciated being able to give these bags to the girls at the rehab center. And every girl at the rehab center was a victim of sexual exploitation. Once the brothel has been shut down, these girls have nowhere to go. There's no social services. It's either live at the bus station or they can go to the rehab center. And while at the rehab center, they are taught social skills, relationship skills, and work skills. So hopefully one day they will be employable and they will find good work in the country. Due to privacy issues, we don't have a lot of pictures, and we're not supposed to tell a lot of stories from the center, so it will be minimal. It's a family-friendly event tonight, so we won't go into details about them. But one thing that the girls do at the rehab center, they learn work skills, and one of those work skills is around arts and crafts. So as an example, these dolls are handmade by the girls at the rehab center. And then, of course, they sell them to promote their work and to raise more money for the center. That's a picture of the stove in the rehab center. Again, we don't have many pictures from it. This stove has to feed upwards of 20 people. It literally comes up to about halfway up my thigh. It's not very large. While we were in Moldova, we also went to a very small village called Piatra Alba, which is just outside the capital city. While at the village here, we met with children there, and we did a 3-day kids camp for the kids. And it's a very poor area. As you can tell by the pictures, this building's a real fixer-upper. The village is very poor. There's a lot of unemployment, therefore there's a lot of alcoholism, family violence, and the children are the ones that suffer as a result. This little guy's name is Sasha. He went to the camp, and he had a broken arm. He's wearing the cast there, but his cast is literally rags put around his arm. Her name was Nicoletta. We did some face painting while we were there, and we brought a lot of hula hoops and soccer balls. For some reason, Eastern European girls really like hula hoops. It's an easy way to entertain the kids, and they love them. This little girl, she literally latched onto me. While we were in the village, it was easy to see the distinct lack of male influences in the village. There's a lot of fathers who are simply not present there for whatever reason. And due to a lack of adult males in the village, this little girl, she literally grabbed onto me and she would not let go. It was kind of fun for the first couple minutes. It was nice. Then we wanted to start playing games and she would not let go of me. So I physically had to take her off of me so I could start moving around and walking again. We had another picture of me actually holding her head back. Larisa took that picture because she wanted to continue to hug me, and it's like, okay, that's nice, but enough is enough. We have to start doing the camp. And you could see how much she just wanted a male in her life. Her name was Angela, one of the girls at the camp there. This little guy had chickenpox, and chickenpox was going around the village while we were there, so he was just getting over that. But he did like the frisbees that we brought. The girls liked the hula hoops, and the boys really liked the frisbees. Another boy at the camp. Her name was Dasha, one of the girls there. While we were in the village, we went to a lady's house for lunch each day. So we had to walk down this little dirt road and we ate in her yard. And it wasn't much, but it was quite beautiful. You can see the canopy of grapes over top there. And what Larisa is standing next to is their outdoor shower. It's pieced together with scrap metal and plywood. And they have a rain barrel on top of the roof. And they have a trough that comes down over top of the shower with a little plug, and you just unplug the plug and then the rainwater provides the water for the shower. In the summer when it's really warm, it might be pretty nice. I certainly wouldn't want to have to do that in the winter though. We held the camp at the soccer field in the village, but as you can see it's just dirt. So playing some relay games with the kids. While we were there, we also did some chiropractic work. This little guy's name is Artyom, and he was literally skin and bones. While we were there, we also did some more formal treatment. This was preset ahead of time. They booked the entire schedule for 2 days. I was very impressed with the way they did it. And people came for their appointment. Larisa did all the translating, and I did all the hands-on work. We did ask people to make a small donation for their appointment, which was literally 10 lei, which is not that much. And at the end of it, we were able to take that money, and the charity that we went with, they matched that amount, and then we had another donor, they matched that amount. So Larisa and I, we matched that amount, and we had 2 more people match it as well. So in total, we were able to raise $198 US to give back to the rehab center there. While we were doing that, this little guy came in. He's 7 years old. His name is Misha. But of course, it's much cooler to have an English name, so he goes by Michael. His mother brings him in, and she says to us how ever since he was a young child, he's been wetting the bed. And nothing's been helping. They've tried different medications. Nothing seems to help him. So she brings him in and says, "Can you help him?" We're like, "Yeah, we'll get right on that." I don't know. I wasn't expecting much. I certainly wouldn't say no to her. She was kind enough to come in during the appointment time. So we'll try. I have heard stories from other chiropractors how treating the lumbar spine can help with bedwetting. I've never seen that personally, but we're certainly willing to try. So we treated him both days, and just before we left, we had a chance to speak to the mother again, and she told us that since those appointments, he was no longer wetting the bed. And she was really happy about that because she doesn't have to get him up at night to take him to the washroom. She doesn't have to clean the sheets anymore, so she was very pleased. And that was a really nice experience to be able to do that for them. While we were in the city, we also had an opportunity to visit a very poor family. This is their kitchen. That's their kitchen sink. They don't have a fridge, so there's a couple of chicken thighs sitting in the water there that they're going to eat that night. This is also their washroom. The mother was very excited because she got to show off her brand new bathtub. And we also found out that the sewer pipe was broken, so they didn't have a working toilet. So the fellow that we knew from the church there, he asked the congregation, and 2 fellows knew how to do some plumbing work, and they volunteered to help this family fix their sewer pipe. So with money that we had there, we put up the money. It was only $60 US. We bought the piping and everything for the apartment, and these 2 fellows worked for 2 days to fix their sewer pipe. So now the family has a working sewer pipe. I know it's not much considering their living conditions, but it's better than nothing. We were walking down the street one day and we saw this interesting little vehicle. This is an example of the booming Moldovan economy, and I say that sarcastically. And if you're hungry, you can get a snack of fish in a bag. We didn't eat that. And we were in a grocery store, and these are the pierogies in bulk. So you scoop them, put them in a bag, weigh it, and that's what you pay for. That's how popular they are there. And then we traveled north to a remote village called Flutura, a village of about 200 people. There's one road. This is it. There's no running water. There's no sewage. And there's no vehicles. And because there's no vehicles, that's the local traffic. And that's also the local traffic. The economy of this village depends on the harvesting of tobacco fields. So the way it works, a family will own a plot of land, and each member of the family will have a basket. They'll go out into the field and they will hand pick each tobacco leaf, bring it back to the road, they'll sit in the shade, and then they'll take each tobacco leaf and put it on a long metal skewer and then hang it upside down to dry. And then a buyer comes to the village, and the buyer will buy the tobacco from the family for a simple cost of $2 for every 1 kilogram of dried tobacco leaves. And when you think of how many leaves it takes to make 1 kilogram, that's quite the volume of leaves for $2 US. So this is the family on the side of the road that was harvesting their tobacco. You can't really see in the picture here, but like this lady's feet, I've never seen someone with such dirty feet before. Her toenails were black, her feet were black with dirt. And we felt bad standing there kind of watching them and taking pictures, so we bought them water, and they really didn't care because they had work to do. They wanted to harvest their tobacco. So every member of the family helps out, even the young girls. Now, when you're taking that tobacco and putting it on the skewers, you get it on your hands, you wipe your eyes, you wipe your mouth, your ear, you get tobacco in your face and your hair. I'm not sure what the cancer rates are in this village, but I can't imagine they were too good. And that's a picture of the makeshift tents that they have where they dry the tobacco. So those are tobacco leaves drying, and that's the economy of the village. That's also the outhouse that we had at the people's house where we were staying in the village. And that's a picture of Larisa bringing some water up from the well. While we were in the village, we did another 3-day kids camp, and it was really easy to entertain those kids. You take a hula hoop, you hold it out, and the kids run back and forth through it. It was easy to entertain them. They really liked it. It was an easy break for us, because in the afternoon when it was really hot and we needed a break, we're like, okay kids, run through the hula hoop. And it's either they do that or they go home and play with a cow or play in the dirt. So they really enjoyed that. We also brought some arts and crafts. This is the kids doing some beadwork. In the afternoon when it got really warm, especially the girls, they could sit in the shade and put some beads together. This little guy was doing a 3-legged race, and he tripped and he fell face first into the dirt, and he wasn't too happy. So he needed a bit of a break because he wasn't too happy, and that was a really hot day too. This young guy's name is Kolya. He's 14 years old. He has cerebral palsy, and he's very unsteady on his feet, and he's very slow in walking. So as a result of him being so immobile, he's never been to school. He's never been to school, so he doesn't know how to read or write. We've arranged with the school teacher in the village that the teacher will visit Kolya 3 times a week to help him learn to read and write. And she's going to be paid for that. With money that we had, we made that happen. And she's going to help him read and write. So at least later on in his life, he has the chance for employment. He's not destined to simply be an alcoholic. And these are the kids all lined up at the side of the road on the last day that we were there. Every child received a toothbrush and toothpaste and, of course, cookies. On the Sunday there, we attended the church. This is the little church in the village. And unfortunately, the church in the village is dying. Nobody is going. There are a few old grandmothers that go. There's no young people, there's no youth, there's no children. So one of the purposes of us being in that village was to develop some enthusiasm for church amongst the kids. So in hopes that they can, for the first time, start a Sunday school. So with money that we had available, we were able to fund the Sunday school for the next 2 years. And we just heard a couple weeks ago that they had their first Sunday school in October and 30 children attended. So that was really nice news. So hopefully that can help revive the church in the village. After church, we're standing outside on the street, and these are the grandmothers. And as you can see, there's a distinct lack of male presence. The only fellow that was there is this guy, 10 a.m. on a Sunday, and he was drunk. After our time in Moldova, Larisa and I, we took the train north to Ukraine, where we took another train west to the city of Lvov. While on the train, that's a picture of the sink. It wasn't luxurious accommodations.
Been there, done that.
And that's a picture of the toilet. While standing in the bathroom, there's about ½ inch of, let's say, liquid on the floor. I'm not sure what it was. I'm hoping it was water. I don't know. But it really smelled in there. So after the first time being in there, we just held it till we got to the city. We weren't going back. While we were in Ukraine, we had the opportunity to go and visit Karina. And Karina is the little girl that we sponsor. It was nice to see her. Her hair was clean, her fingernails were clean, her toes were clean. A contrast from the kids in Moldova. This is the second year that we were able to visit Karina, and it was really nice to see her again. This is me standing in the yard playing ball with 5-year-old Karina and her 7-year-old brother Patrick. While we were at the house, it was great to be able to speak with their mother, Uliana. And Uliana was able to tell us how the kids were doing. Last year when we were there, it was a great experience. We wanted to appreciate how their lives go because it is much different than how we live here. The second time we went back, we had some expectations this time. We wanted to see some results. This is a full year with sponsorship, and we wanted to see some changes in their lives. Uliana, the mother, was able to tell us about how she was able to allocate money away from her grocery bill because with sponsorship, every month a food hamper arrives at their door and it helps to feed the family. So they don't have to spend as much money on food. They take that money and they were able to paint the inside of their house. They were able to build a little flower garden outside of their house. Now I know they're not major things, but they're little things to help improve the living environment for the children. She also showed us how her husband Yuri was building desks for the kids, and they're going to do their homework there, which is remarkable because there's a lot of kids in that village who don't even go to school. So for those kids to be doing schoolwork outside of school at home, that's amazing because the only way they're going to break their cycle of poverty is through education. And it was nice to see them using that money that they can save from having their child sponsored. They're not drinking it, they're not gambling it, it's not going up their nose. They are spending that money on their children. And that's what the program was designed to do. And that was really nice for Larisa and I to be able to see that with our own eyes. After we visited Karina, we went to an orphanage where we visited little Martha. Martha is being sponsored by our friend Scott, and this is the second year in a row we got to meet Martha, and that's her brother Max there as well. There's 8 kids in that family, and they're all at this orphanage. Last year when we visited Martha, she was skin and bones. She wasn't doing very well. She was very unresponsive. She wouldn't smile. She wouldn't reach out to us. This year, Huge change in their life. She's happy, she's growing, she's put on some weight, she's eating, she's smiling and laughing and holding our hands and wanting to be hugged, reaching out to us. It was a very nice improvement. Even though her and her siblings are at an orphanage, at least their lives are being improved, and that does help with Scott's sponsorship. And while we were there, we were able to bring them all ice cream and some treats, and just trying to make their lives a little bit brighter. After that, we went to the orphanage where we were a year ago. It's called the Ark Orphanage in Novo-Volinsk. This is a private orphanage that is helped funded by Canadian dollars. It was nicer. We're standing in the yard there. This is Maxime, and that's Vladik. While we were staying at the orphanage, we went for a little picnic barbecue in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, basically. And we're having mashed potatoes and shish kebab. So we're fighting over some food there. This is me playing with Dennis in the orphanage. We had also brought some crafts for the kids. This is Larisa showing the kids how to make a gingerbread train. They certainly don't have items like that there, so it was just a nice change for them. This is Maxime. That is, I think that's Vladik, his brother Andriy, and Dennis there. While we were at the orphanage, we also did more chiropractic work there. Again, it was all pre-booked. People had their appointment times. People showed up. That was a long day. That was just over 12 hours of work. And Larisa did all the translating, and then I did all the hands-on work. And again, we asked for a small donation as a result of their appointment time. And the charity that we went with, they agreed to match whatever amount that we raised. So in total, we were able to raise $250 US to give back to the orphanage, which was really nice because while we were there, the orphanage fridge broke. So that money helped to buy them a new fridge. This is the day we left the orphanage. It's kind of sad. It's really nice arriving there. It's all fun and exciting, and it's sad when we had to leave. While we were walking in town, we came across a bakery. This is a bakery. There's a poster outside the bakery. Whoever did the English translation for it, not very good. It made us really laugh. So we had to take a picture. On our way back to Lvov, we drove through another city called Chervonograd. It was nice to be there because this is the city where my wife, Larisa, grew up. We were able to find her old apartment building, and that is the apartment where she grew up. So we walked up the stairs and we knocked on the door. We wanted to see the inside of the apartment. The fellow who opened the door looked really confused and couldn't understand what we were talking about. So we're just like, we just want to see inside. We bribed our way in with chocolate. He said, okay. And we went in. So we got to see the inside of the apartment. It's a 2-room apartment, meaning there are 2 rooms in the apartment. And this is where the kids slept. So Larisa has 7 siblings. So all 8 kids slept in this room. And while we were standing in that room, Larisa described to me how they own 2 single mattresses. And during the day, they'd flip those mattresses up against the walls. And then at night, they'd bring the mattresses back down. And then all 8 kids would sleep on those mattresses. And that's where my wife grew up. It was great. It was so nice to be able to share that moment and that experience with her. That was a really good day. That was really, really nice. When we returned to Lvov, we visited this family. This is, her name is Martha as well. And these are her 3 brothers and their grandmother. Martha here is sponsored by my sister. The kids used to live in the mountains. The father died. The mother is an alcoholic, so the 4 kids were placed into an orphanage. The grandmother didn't like that idea, so she literally removed those kids from the orphanage, and now she's raising them as her own in the small apartment, which is literally a 1-room apartment. So we are standing in that 1 room. 2 kids sleep on this bunk bed. The grandmother sleeps in this bunk bed. 1 boy sleeps in this bunk bed, And then behind where we're standing, that's where Martha, the girl, sleeps. They had cleaned it up, and that was also their living room, so it was relaxing to be in, but it was nice to be able to experience their life. They also converted a small closet into their kitchen. The grandmother explained to us how every month, through sponsorship, when that food hamper arrives at their door, they don't have to buy as much food. They're able to save that money and allocate that money that they save on the grocery bill, and she can use it to spend on her grandchildren. This little piece of gray silver here, that's actually their fridge. They were able to save enough money on their grocery bill as a result of those food hampers that they bought a fridge, which is awesome. That's exactly what they're supposed to be doing. The grandmother's not drinking it. She's not gambling it. She's not using it on drugs. She's saving that money to use it to better the life of her grandchildren. And now they can eat better, they can make better choices on their groceries, and they can also save money. Across the hall was their bathroom. At least they have a bathroom. It wasn't great, it's not ideal, but it's something. And the grandmother, as tough as her life is, she's making a lot of sacrifices and she's doing a lot of good things for her grandchildren, which was really nice to see, because Larisa and I, we get to come home and I get to tell my sister about the life of Martha and how her sponsorship dollars are actually making a noticeable improvement in that girl's life. And that was really encouraging, and I really enjoyed being able to tell my sister that. And after that, unfortunately, that was it. And we came home. Thank you for listening.